Do you think love can bloom on a battlefield?
I hope no one else is doing a bit, but I'm doing a bit.
Daddy's got a pod.
I'm Casey Kasem, and this one's for the perverts.
Join us in our strange ritual.
That is time-traveling love smut.
I can only say horny in one season opener.
A medium amount of fun and an extra large amount of sweaty.
From the minds that brought you Giraffe and Amerisaur.
No regrets, no masters.
I got dick jokes to make, man. Leave me alone.
This is good. This is good for anyone.
This one's going to be weird. I'm very interested to see where this goes.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and how I just purchased a Steam Deck to start knocking off my Steam backlog instead of just sitting here playing Final Fantasy XIV. And instead, I spent 2 hours figuring out how to jury-rig the system to play Final Fantasy XIV and then another 2 hours to just fix my UI to match how it is on my computer so that I could play Final Fantasy XIV on my Steam Deck. I have a Steam Deck and I love it. Thank you for your time.
You could have just said the last sentence.
Yeah.
And like everything else felt really unnecessary.
I think that was for somebody. I think it was for somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for somebody.
It was nobody on this
Is
call.
that someone on the call with us right now?
Literally with us in the room.
Yeah, do you see them in the room?
I mean,
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy 14 of it all might be for somebody else, but I think we all can empathize with buying a new thing,
Yeah.
thinking you'll play different games with it, and then playing the same games.
Just get back on your bullshit.
Then you just get back on your bullshit.
Thank you, Kyle. Speaking of people who are my only friend, by the end of 2005, the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. How was that segue? Was that anything?
Good.
It was a segue.
Me and Sonic the Hedgehog, your only friends.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Sonic today. It's one of those days, which is why we're coming with a certain energy. And I have a little bit of history to help contextualize what we're going to talk about today. So by the end of like mid 2000s, Sonic had experienced some of the highest highs and the lowest lows. Anybody who was in games at this time may remember the Sega Dreamcast, its early departure in like 02, 03. Shortly after that, though, Sonic Team brought the absolute banger that is Sonic Adventure 2 Battle to the GameCube, and then also another game a few years later in the form of Sonic Heroes, which is a Sonic game.
Another game.
Yeah, so Sonic Team decided circa 2004, 2005 that the big 15-year anniversary was coming up for Sonic and that they were going to do a full-on reboot of the franchise for the HD consoles coming out for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Today, we know that as the laughably broken Sonic the Hedgehog, aka Sonic 06. Now, we're not talking about that today, but it is related because the reason behind Sonic 06's mess is actually the focus of today's episode. So, again, the year is 2004, 2005. In an attempt to capitalize on Nintendo's upcoming motion control console, Sonic Team decided to split the development team in half. So one half of Sonic Team would be focused on Sonic 06, and the other would be focused on a completely separate Sonic game that was aimed at the new Nintendo audience, aka a more casual audience for the motion controls. This was initially revealed as Sonic Wildfire, and then later released as Sonic and the Secret Rings in 2007 for, may I remind you, this was still like the less than a year old Nintendo Wii. So this was 2007.
Let me remind you that we also didn't sign up for a Sonic flavor text here, Andrew.
Yeah.
I feel like it's important to set the context. So this game, Sonic and the Secret Rings, would be the first of what would become the storybook series, which is just an N of 2. But this is a type of Sonic game featuring Sonic experiencing the world of a beloved story / fable / tale that lives in the public domain. Characters from Sonic games would appear as recognizable characters. So Sonic and the Secret Rings was a retelling of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. 2 years later, it had a sequel, the second and final of the storybook franchise, called Sonic and the Black Knight, which was a retelling of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, not to be confused with Kyle's 14 Uncles.
Different than that.
There's dads.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Long story short, the games sold enough because they were Sonic games that were made for a very popular console using novel motion controls at the time. Speaking of set motion controls, these games used what some would call waggle tech, which is the patented I wave my Wii remote in the air and stuff happens. Both of these games essentially operate, if you need like a visual, they basically operate as an auto runner. So you don't actually move Sonic. Sonic just runs and you kind of like listfully lays.
It was Temple Run, but with Sonic assets.
But but you kind of just like twist the Wii remote left and right to have him turn.
I could think of worse games to play.
I mean, if you're gonna make an auto runner with Sonic, there's a worse way to do it.
I can think of worse games to play. Sonic 06.
Yeah, that's
Also
true.
Now paying AAA prices for that for Temple Run is a bit harsh, but
yeah, I mean this was still MSRP $49.99.
yeah.
Woo. Hey, at least it wasn't a service. Could have been a service.
Could have been a service. So you would waggle the Wiimote back and forth, and Sonic would jump and do his homing attack. And in the second game, he would swing his sword because that was the one where Sonic had a sword, famously. So all of this mini flavor text brings us to the current task at hand today. Gentlemen, our corporate suits in the marketing/PR/advertising division of DT ! Have struck a deal with Sega and Sonic Team to bring the storybook series back from the grave and reintroduce the world to this concept with a brand new third entry. And we are going to be the ones to write it.
Hey, I have a question, Andrew.
Yeah.
Who the
Why?
shit asked for this? Why is this?
I want to know.
Yeah.
Usually these requests come into our inbox, like our shared inbox, and I didn't see this one. It just feels like
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. Well,
Here's what happened.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the suits, not to be confused with the execs, the suits,
the TV show Suits.
the TV show suits, they were looking through the inbox actually last night and said, oh shit, we have a big meeting tomorrow because we have to have a presentation go up Tuesday and we're really behind on that presentation and we need to have something in the proverbial chamber. You know how like we like to pre-record all of our meetings, so that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, as you were.
And
None of us are going to fight Andrew on this
and
one.
someone channeled the topic out of the collective consciousness. The
So
people
it- yeah.
voted for this.
The people voted for this quite literally. So joining me today is a panel of experts in the field of going real fast and Googling things in the public domain. Todd, Peter Pan Thomas, Kyle, Steamboat Willie Harper, and Matt, James Bond Cole.
Who are three people who have never been in my living room?
That's correct.
I was going to say, what are three properties that are probably racist?
Yeah. Matt, do you want to do one?
Three properties that were all co-opted and wrung to death for the profit of mega corporations.
Ding, ding, ding. All three of these are right, in addition to these being in the public domain, but you all knew that. So, gentlemen, pitch me the latest in Sonic's storybook series by pairing Sonic with a well-known property that exists in the public domain. Tell me how Sonic will magically wind up in this new world in the first couple minutes of the game, and then how you're going to shoehorn him in as the story's hero. And we'll start with Todd.
Yeah, we got this. So we're going to get right into it. This game starts with the replay of the Sonic Adventure level where you're being chased by the giant orca whale, which, like, side note, seems really weird that Sonic couldn't outrun an orca whale like on a dock, but, whatever. He's been to space. It's cool. At the conclusion of that level, when you go to grab the giant ring that you warp that ends your time or whatnot, before it can warp you out at that exact moment, that orca snaps its jaws down on you in that ring, effectively doing like a biblical Jonah treatment, like you're in the belly of the whale. You wake up in New Bedford, Massachusetts. You, Sonic, Massachusetts. You look down and you're wearing this like thick, like tight to your body knitted sweater, and you're sitting across from an echidna with sleeves of tattoos and this like rough demeanor.
Shit.
Your character, Sonic, goes, "Knuckles?" To which the echidna says, "Yeah, I tattooed those too." And when he asks for your name, Sonic mishears from his like drowsiness in the accent, and he thought he was being not asked his name, but being asked the size of his sweater. And so his response is, it's small. To which the echidna says, Ishmael, got it.
No, come on, man.
All right.
Not bad. The echidna introduces himself as Queequeg and says that he plans to ferry to Nantucket tomorrow to be part of a big whaling expedition. Now, Sonic, Ishmael, whatever you want to say.
Sonic Mishmael?
That's
Son
nothing.
Ishmael? Son Ishmael.
No,
That feels
no.
good. Listen,
That's nothing.
Son Ishmael knows he's not going to find answers in New Bedford, Massachusetts, but maybe the whale that brought him here is how he's going to get home. So Sonic, Son Ishmael, sets off to the promised land, aka Nantucket, because we're doing a Moby Dick. That's what we're doing today. Call him Son Ishmael. We're doing it.
Do you think ever in your life that you would record yourself saying the sentence, "We're doing a Moby Dick"?
Yeah, same question. I would like to ask the same question.
I gotta tell you, we won't even save this one for the post show. This whole bit came off of he was asked about his sweater, but instead his name, and he says it's small, and he goes, Ishmael. That was kind of what I took and ran with it. So,
Good.
worse things have and will be said.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the candor. Kyle, what are you bringing?
Yeah, so our hero, Sonic, the titular blue hedgehog, finds himself on a trip to jolly old London.
Just straight up going to London? Just real ass London?
Straight up going
Cool.
to London. Unfortunately, for him, he forgot about that jet lag was a thing. So he gets to London, falls asleep right away, and he wakes up. It's the middle of the night, and he's so hungry. All he wants is chili dogs. So he goes out running, goes out looking for a chili dog at
running?
the wee hours of the morning. And wouldn't you know it, he gets lost in that famous London fog as he's wandering the streets looking for a chili dog in this historic city. He gets so lost, in fact, that he swears the lights start turning into old Victorian lamps. The buildings start to change around him. And as he gets more and more lost in this fog, he sees things change around him. And when the fog finally breaks, he looks around and finds himself at 221 B. Baker Street in 17th century London. Trying to get his bearings, figuring out what happens. He goes around more and more, and he runs into who he thinks is his old friend Tails, but is actually the Dr. John Watson in this world, doing Sherlock Holmes. It's Sonic Holmes. We're gonna solve crimes.
It's really good.
At the speed of sound.
It's really good, dude. I love that it's like, first of all, Sonic just like gets on a plane.
Yeah,
because to imply that like he can't just run there, but like he just gets on a Sonic lives in our world.
Yeah,
and it's just like as simple as flying to London. That to me is very funny.
Yeah,
I mean that's movie canon, technically.
That's true. I mean he lives in San Francisco in the movie canon. You're right. All right, Matt, what about you?
Yeah, Andrew. So first off, let me say up front that I have a silly title for my game. And the other guys didn't have a silly title, but I have a very good Sonic.
Moby Sonic Dick. It's in the notes.
That's okay. Anyway, so imagine it's like modern day. I don't know what year modern day is in Sonic canon.
2020X.
It's
2020X.
20XX, yeah.
Also, we're doing the Sonic Boom. That's what we're doing. We're doing Sonic Boom from like 2014, the TV show, and those character models and everything. So don't think of Knuckles as like a little tiny echidna. Think of him as like a big Dorito man, because that's Knuckles from Sonic Boom.
It's a big Dorito man.
So anyway, it's modern day in Sonic Boom land, and Sonic is hanging out at the hangout, wherever. I don't know where they hang out.
This is the Sonic that has a neckerchief, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This is Neckerchief Sonic.
Cool.
Everyone got an accessory.
Yeah. That's true. So he's hanging with the gang, whoever the gang is. It's got, like Tails is there, Knuckles is there, Zoe, Tails' girlfriend and love interest from the Sonic Boom TV show and games. We got to make sure that people know we're doing Sonic Boom. So Zoe's there. Probably some Chow or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, Sonic is there, and he's bragging that
these are just nouns. Sonic nouns is all you're doing right now.
I know, because it's just fluff. Anyway, Sonic is bragging that he can run around the world in 80 minutes, right? And Tails is all like, no way, Sonic, because you can only run 767 miles per hour for a sustained run, and 80 minutes isn't a sprint. That's something I learned on Google today. And then Sonic will be like, eat my ass, Tails, and he's gonna run so fast that he like accidentally runs back in time. And when Sonic skids to a halt, he's gonna be in the same room, but it's 1883. It's 1883. He's in the same room, and it's the same gang of people, and he's right there when a group of people at a club dare a person who looks like Tails but is actually famed adventurer Phileas Fogg. I bet you can't go around the world in 80 days. And who Sonic thinks is Tails but is actually famed adventurer Phileas Fogg says, well, with the modern of technology and my inventions, of course I can go around the world in 80 days. And we're doing the game. We're doing around the world in 80 days, but Sonic, and it's going to be called Sonic and the Gotta Go Fast Machine. That's what we're calling it. Sonic and the Gotta Go Fast Machine.
Okay.
Please
That's
clap.
I was promised a silly name.
Yeah.
Matt, and that's better than Moby Sonic Dick, but maybe on
Inarguably.
par with Sonic Holmes. So
We need to let the focus group weigh in on this before we decide what's good for the audience.
you get the focus group
All right.
put together, Todd. We'll send it through.
Wow, incredible. Honestly, just to take a second, those are all really good answers. Those are all really good, really funny answers.
I feel like we'll talk about it in the post show. We came up with this idea and we're like, well, this is gonna be stupid. And then I think one at a time we're all like, well, now hey, wait a minute.
Now wait a second.
Yeah.
No.
I know. It is a double-edged sword because it's like, well, this is a fun bit, but man, maybe we should just be game developers. It's that easy, right?
Are we gonna start the Debate This storybook series where we just mash video games up with public domain games?
Kyle, don't threaten me with a good time.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I'm one lottery ticket away from doing that. So okay, so let's move it along. Now everybody knows the real delight of these games was the way that Sonic Team straight up just used regular Sonic characters, as you guys noted. And for example, in the Black Knight, it was like, no, this isn't Shadow, it's Lancelot, but it's just straight up fucking Shadow with like a suit of armor. And again, like Sonic is just like, oh my god, Tails, what are you doing here? And it's like, I'm not Tails, I'm Alibaba. Like that,
It's such a good delivery too.
yeah, chef's kiss. So tell me, how are you going to weave in? You kind of started to already. Tell me how you're going to continue to weave in famous characters from your chosen property, and then the associated Sonic characters that they will be played by. Go ahead, Todd.
We already met Sonic's rough friend, Queequeg the Echidna. That's Knuckles. That's the Knuckles insert. So the story, we get to Nantucket, and they board an egg-shaped boat. And the thing is about this boat, it's piloted by P-Log. The what?
I chortled my water.
Good. This boat has two people piloting it. The actual owners of the boat, as it is. That is P-Log Rose and Bildad Prowler. That's, of course, the Amy Rose and Tails, respectively. Great. Makes total sense. Now, eventually, we meet the captain of the ship. It is a rotund gentleman with very long legs. But one of the legs is all wobbly, like it's made out of something that is not structurally sound. This here is Captain Ahabman. This is, of course, the Eggman insert. Did you want that again? It was good.
Well, the American localization is Ahabnik.
Yeah, Ahabnik. And then Captain Ahabman has three first mates who I don't actually think get named in the story, but they're a crocodile, a chameleon, and a bee. So obviously that's the Chaotix. We got Vector, SBO, and Charmy. Of course, all of those final four, and then including the pilots of the boat and San Ishmael and Queequeg the Echidna, are all going to be in search of a big whale that I will talk more about next.
Great.
I don't want to let you just get away with Son Ishmael. I don't think that Son Ishmael passes the sniff test.
Get him, Matt.
No, I'm gonna keep doing it. You know what? You're not my dad, and you're not my boss. I'm gonna keep doing it.
You know what?
This is
Upheld.
public domain, Matt. There's no rules.
Fair point.
You wait until I put listeners. Time to make a sticker. Make a sticker of Sonic in a fancy fisherman's
Listeners, do that thing
sweater.
you've never done for us yet.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Get in the comments.
Okay. Anything else? Moby Dick is a surprise. Got
I
it.
think I named all of the characters in Moby Dick.
I don't know the source material well enough to check you on that.
I know there's like
That's a fair
4
point.
chapters of listing whales, and that's and I expect this game to remain faithful to that portion of the book.
There is, hey, listen, listeners, I didn't read this book. None of us have read this book, and I was kind of banking on that. The Cliff Notes version was like, and then they start killing a bunch of whales, but none of them are Moby Dick.
No.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
No,
cool.
but they do have a bloodlust for whales.
Yeah, Captain Ahab is like, I have a murder boner to kill whales. You're going to help me kill whales, one specific whale. And everyone's like, yeah, fucking calm down, dude.
Probably a metaphor for something, but
Hmm.
I haven't read the book.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
This is one of those episodes where we need resident English lit major and expert Eric Silver.
That's true. Yeah.
Eric's going to listen to this and be like, trash.
He's
all of this garbage.
yelling at all of us right now.
Yeah.
The titular whale is a euphemism for someone chasing their lost childhood or emasculation of some sort. I don't know. Best not read into it.
An allegory, like some could argue, just like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
That's a fair
An
point.
allegory for a lost childhood.
That we all spend time in the Chow Garden to re-find our innocence
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
or weird chicken fighting.
Listen, every morning I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I found you, faker. Kyle, it's your turn.
All right,
That
Andrew.
was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Right?
Yes, Andrew, thank you. So already set this up. We already met Miles Tails Watson, Dr. Miles Tails Watson, in our prelude scene. The short version of the setup here, Andrew, is that when Sonic time traveled / crossed the barrier into this fictional but not world, he brought with him his 7 Chaos Emeralds. And there are now
He just had those on him?
no, they
was
they
packing?
they're tied. It's video game.
It's like the
mumbo,
Infinity Stones.
Yeah,
All
video
the-
game mumbo jumbo.
Each universe has to have a Sonic, and it has to have 7 Chaos Emeralds. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Does that mean there's a Madam Hedgehog?
Oh, it's just one red hedgehog with big glasses and a wheelchair.
We're all bound by her spines. So yes, Sonic brought with him his 7 Chaos Emeralds, and to get back to our world, his world, he has to collect them and use their power to get back. It just so happens that the collection of each of those stones is going to line up with a classic Sherlock Holmes story as well.
Hell yeah.
And so as we solve the mystery, we will find the Chaos Emerald. Our first one will follow the first Sherlock Holmes story, A Study in Scarlet. This will, however, be a study in speed. So we get into our gameplay a little too. You're going to race through the streets of London, trying to find the clues of this killer leaves behind and solve the mystery before the killer can claim their final victim. They will meet, as I already said, Miles Tails Watson, your partner, the one who you'll deliver all of your clues to Miles Watson, and he'll help you solve the crime, tell you where to go for your final boss fight. You will also work with Inspector Lestrade, who will be our Knuckles insert, moving through some other stories. We will hold on, cut this out.
Gotta reopen the Sherlock Holmes Wikipedia.
No. So we'll solve the study in speed. We will move on to a hedgehog in Bohemia, where we will meet Irene Adler, who will be portrayed by Amy, of course.
Good.
And finally, in our final chapter, we'll put us face to face with the orchestrator of all of these other murders, these other mysteries. The Final Chaos Emerald is the title of the chapter, where we meet Professor Shadow Moriarty, our final boss and final character
His
in
perfect
this story.
foil. That's really good. Okay.
Kyle, this is just a friendly request. It doesn't have anything to do with the podcast. So if the answer is no, that's okay. But could you give me like a Professor Moriarty line in a shadow voice just to hear it?
No.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, that's
Because
fine.
I
Okay.
don't have a Professor Moriarty line ready to go to do in a bad shadow
in
impression.
an angsty, deep-throated shadow voice.
If someone finds me a line and wants to edit it in where I said no instead, I'll do that. But
I got one.
You just take a shot at it, and we'll just dub you over
Here,
Kyle's
I'm gonna
answer.
put it in chat.
okay, here we go. I've got a Shadow Moriarty line for you, Matt.
Oh, you just had it ready
Give
to
it to
go.
me.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Well, okay. To be clear, this is Moriarty from Sherlock, the 2017 series. I do not know if this is from the source material or not.
We're
Please
really
continue.
splitting hairs on this thing.
Yeah, it's true.
People leave their bodies to science. I think cannibals would be so much more grateful.
It's good.
No notes. Is
Yeah, I
he
love it.
in the room with us? Is Shadow on the call?
Transported.
Yeah,
Transported.
special guest for this episode, Shadow the Hedgehog is here
Shadow
with
the
me.
Moriarty.
Friend of the show.
Shadow the Moriarty.
Oh shit. All right. Yeah, that's pretty dope. Matt, round out the cast of Around the World in 80 Days for us.
Yeah, can I get a sniff test on the room? How familiar are people with Around the World in 80 Days?
0. Jack Black did a movie that I didn't see about it.
No.
It's not Jack Black. I
Nope,
don't
that's
think.
That's Gulliver's Travels,
Yeah, you're thinking Gulliver's Travels.
which is
That's
different.
It. Did it.
Jackie
Did it.
Chan is in 2004's Around the World in 80 Days.
Yeah.
Did the Animaniacs do Around the World in 80 Days?
Did Wishbone
There's a-
do Around the World in 80 Days?
I'm sure
Wishbone
all of
had
them
to
did
have.
Around
Yeah.
the World in 80 Days. Anyway, that's fine.
Yeah, you could say anything, Matt, and we will not.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll give a little bit more explanation.
Like
of the
Kyle's made up
characters.
Moriarty quote.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so Around the World in 80 Days is a story about this guy, Phileas Fogg, who's in an upper crust club in London, and all he does every day is go to the club, play chess, and then go home and whatever. And sometimes he's a famous adventurer. I don't really know. It's not important. That is Tails. He is the main traveler. Now, in the book and all the movies and stuff that have come after, right before Phileas Fogg is dared to travel the world in 80 days, he hires a new assistant. That assistant's name is Passepartout. Passepartout is the character played by Jackie Chan in the 2004 movie, the character who follows Phileas Fogg around the world. Passepartout is Knuckles. Also, because this is a Sonic game, it's going to be pronounced Passport. We're just going to, it'll be spelled the same, still spelled as Passepartout, but we're just calling him Passport. And then throughout the entire trip around the world, there is a detective following Phileas Fogg and Passport because he thinks Phileas Fogg committed this gigantic robbery in London that also happened at the same time that he accepted this deal. So the cop who is the Javert to Phileas Fogg is Shadow, and he's going to travel all around the world being just a step behind Sonic the whole time.
Okay.
And what he doesn't know is that the whole time, that mysterious robber, it wasn't Sonic, it was Metal Sonic, which isn't really going to be important to the game, but I think is a funny joke. And then we're also going to get a character who in the book is called Aouda or Aouda. I'm not really sure. In the book, she's like an English woman rescued by the adventurers before she is sacrificed in some sort of,
Well,
vaguely racist and
like
also,
a Temple of Doom situation.
You got it. It's a Temple of Doom. They did a Temple of Doom. So we pick up Euda. Euda falls in love with Phileas Fogg. It's Zoe. That's why we brought Tails' girlfriend from Sonic Boom.
Oh, so you could fridge her.
No. She lives. She ends up like traveling.
Oh.
She is to Around the World in 80 Days what most people think Sacagawea was to Lewis and Clark, but wasn't. Anyway,
I got whiplash with these references.
We are all over here.
If you've seen the 2004 movie, Euda isn't about to be sacrificed. She also has a different name. She is instead about to marry Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has pretty racist makeup on, and asks if Tuesdays are okay with her because she'll be his 7th wife, one for every day of the week. We need an Arnold Schwarzenegger character to sacrifice this European anthropomorphic fox named Zoe. That's going to be Eggman. Near the end of the book, they got to get back across the Atlantic from New York over to London. They hire a captain named Captain Speedy in the book, and I'll be damned if in this video game Captain Speedy won't be Big the Cat, and they're going to take Big the Cat's boat across the Atlantic, and it's going to be great. And that's pretty much the cast here, and we're doing Around the World in 80 Days. We're going to show up in all of these different locales and countries and places, and we're going to see some other random Sonic characters, scattered throughout wearing local attire. But yeah, that's the rundown, man.
It feels like you made the game right now, as you're describing it, that if Nintendo were to be like, hey, remember Mario is missing? Remember that context of that game? What if we did that for Sonic and it was weird?
Well, okay, but here's the whole thing, right? Here's the bit. Here's the bit, is that Sonic can run around the world in 80 days. And as soon as they make the bet, Sonic's like in the room and he's like, I could do that. And he like runs around the world. And the guy who dares Tails to go around the world, which will probably be Vector the alligator, because he's my favorite. He's going to be like, well, just because you can doesn't mean he can, and points to Tails. And that's going to be the whole bit, is that Sonic has to get Tails around the world in 80 days.
It's an escort mission. It's a whole game of an escort mission.
You just turn on the Sonic 2 follow rules, and Tails just keeps up with them.
Yeah, he's invincible.
I need to correct something I said earlier. It was not
a different
the
quote.
Animaniacs. Oh. It was not the Animaniacs in an adaptation. It was Tweety Bird in an adaptation. Tweety's High 2000s Tweety's High Flying Adventure. The second appearance of Lola Bunny in
neat
Looney Tunes media.
What do you know?
I learned something today.
Yeah, here we are.
That's why we're here.
We're here.
Studying the classics.
Yeah, never say debate this can't give you college credits, kids. So, as we all know, every Sonic game needs that explosive final boss battle where Sonic achieves some super anime form. Now, normally that's straight up Supersonic, but it's been other things, like in Sonic and the Black Knight when he awakens the full power of Excalibur, or he channels the magic of a genie, or in the other one. So tell me, what will be your climactic final battle, and what ridiculous powers will Sonic get in order to finish the game?
Yeah, so this is going to be totally normal and fine. So for those who have read the book, which is probably all four of us, no one needs to raise your hand, I know.
Yeah. I read it last night. Yeah.
In preparation for Andrew will spit his water.
That was my second chortle.
So in the book of what I read online, abbreviated about it, the final showdown is like a 3-day encounter with Moby Dick.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like 3 days long they chase this whale as the whale just murders everyone. Like everyone gets killed. So I guess we're going to get that final battle as an event, I guess. I mean, Sonic has flown in outer space to fight the ultimate life form. We can do something like that here, the giant whale thing. So it's important to note that true to form, to the story that we are pulling the source material from, this all starts with Captain Ahabman nailing a Chaos Emerald to the mast, saying, "This goes to the first mate who spots my big whale. Once we gut it, you can have the other 6. And so that's like enough. Sonic's like, okay, well, once I get the 6 other Chaos Emeralds out of the belly of this big whale, then I guess I can go home Probably.
We're gonna breeze by the logistics of nailing a emerald to.
Yeah. So in the source material, he nails a doubloon to a mast. So I don't know. He uses a
different.
3M sticky pad and sticks a chaos emerald. But yeah, that's enough. That's all Sonic needs. That's all Son Ishmael needs. He's gonna get the chaos emeralds and he's gonna leave this story verse. The morning of the showdown, Son Ishmael spots something with this huge purple fin swerving in and out of the water. So harpoons are flying, and they're going off the boat, and people are firing cannons at this whale, because why wouldn't you shoot cannonballs at a whale? And that's when we spot the big whale as it breaches to pull the harpoons free. There in all his glory is our big whale, Moby Big the cat.
God damn it.
This giant cat whale smashes up against the boat, and it flings crew members and their cargo, and their cargo was cases of rings and a series of spring pads free into the water. And so Sonic in this fight, using the power of one chaos emerald as he continues to get the other ones from Moby Big the cat, Sonic must use the power of the chaos emerald to launch himself out of cannons to hit floating spring pads, and then light dash on the water for the coin, or for the rings that have fallen out. And he has to smash, or then after light dashing, he lands on smashed planks to go into a surfing scene, because everyone knows the best thing in every Sonic game is a surfing or a snowboarding scene.
Yeah.
And to win the battle, he has to strike the flashing giant gold belt buckle 3 times. That apparently is crucial to the structural integrity of this fictitious purple and white whale cat.
Because it's a whale cat.
There she blows. But it's Big the cat.
Todd, can we get a famous line read from Moby Dick in Big the Cat's voice?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Moby Dick, the whale, famously has lines in the book.
Mama whale.
That's
what he
pretty
says.
good.
That's what he says.
Yeah, that feels right. Oh, hang on, let me get a.
I'm a big whale.
That's I think what he would say probably.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think I'm good with this answer. I feel good about it.
Yeah, how do you feel about this?
I feel good about it. I feel good about it.
Okay.
Just check it in.
Yeah, I got to a point where I was like, okay, and Big the cat is Moby Dick. That kind of came second. It was like the sweater is small / Ishmael was first.
That was
Moby Big the
hero,
cat was 2, and then
Yeah.
I was like, what is the meat of this sandwich? I've got the bread.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. So, as I said, the final chapter of Sonic Holmes is going to be an adaptation of the adventure of the final problem, which is the adventure of the final Chaos Emerald, where Professor Shadow Moriarty reveals to Sonic Holmes that he brought him to this world to effectively collect the Chaos Emeralds for him. He brought him to this world so his Chaos Emeralds would show up with him, and then he would collect them for him, so Shadow Moriarty could use the power of the Chaos Emeralds to achieve, power over the Scotland Yard. That's the
Yeah, sure.
Green Hills Yard.
Scotland Yard is a thing.
Yeah,
Certainly a thing.
Green Hills Yard. Yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
There you go.
Casino Zone Yard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone who is familiar with Sherlock Holmes or has seen the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes 2 knows that the Holmes Moriarty showdown ends at Rickenbach Falls, and they both go over the falls, and famously Sherlock Holmes dies but doesn't die because the fans demanded more Sherlock Holmes story, and Arthur Conan Doyle reluctantly gave in to pressure and wrote more. But
And they brought Benedict Cumberbatch for another season, yeah.
and they
We all
brought
remember when that happened.
Yep. So, same thing happens here, except Chaos Emeralds are involved. So, Sonic Holmes starts to hand over the Chaos Emeralds to Shadow Moriarty, kind of making him think he is won in this fight. He's like, yeah, here you go. But instead of handing over the last Chaos Emerald, Sonic tackles Moriarty over the falls, and they both seemingly plummet to their death. Except much like in the Guy Ritchie adaptation, we're going to have a slow-mo fight by these two super speeders on the way down the falls. And this is going to play out. Both Sonic and Shadow are going to take the Chaos Emeralds back and forth from each other, and they will effectively take turns going Super Sonic or Super Shadow as they fall seemingly to their deaths. Both so overcome by their hatred and need to win over each other, neither of them just uses their super hedgehog form to fly away and save their lives, but instead continue this fight to their death.
Okay.
Boss fight plays out as you fall. You have to beat Shadow. It is timed. You have to beat him before, you both hit the ground and die. Because when you do win the fight, instead of falling to your death and dying, Miles Tails Watson flies in and saves you and the 7 Chaos Emeralds, which you will then use to get back to Sonic's normal world and time with a crazy adventure to tell all his friends.
The same emeralds that he came with, right?
Yeah, they came with him. Shadow brought him to this world by trying to bring his Chaos Emeralds to the world.
Got it.
Got
Okay.
Sonic in the process. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. You made the ending of Metal Gear Solid 4, and I love it.
I mean, it's also the ending of Sherlock Holmes, of that Sherlock Holmes novel, but
said what I said.
Is Metal Gear Solid just an actual play of Sherlock Holmes? Is that what it is?
It's a retelling of Sherlock Holmes. A lot of people don't
a
realize
very
that.
faithful retelling of Sherlock Holmes.
I feel like we just did a flavor text on Metal Gear Solid, and you didn't say that.
Weird that didn't come up.
Yeah.
He thought it would go over a lot of listeners' heads, so we left it out.
Yeah.
But
that sucks.
It's there.
I mean, that line read, "Do you think love can bloom on a battlefield?" was originally said by Dr. Moriarty.
Yeah, here,
early.
let me get
Yeah,
Shadow
do that. Yeah,
to say
please.
it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
The big boss man originally is Big Boss Moriarty.
Yeah,
Big Boss Moriarty.
Do you think love can bloom on a battlefield?
That was Shadow.
Oh
again.
shit, that does sound like
That's really good.
Shadow.
Yeah, that sounds
Really
like
good. Also sounds like Solid Snake. Anyway, okay. Matt, it's your turn. Let's move on.
Yeah, 100%. So here's the thing. Here's how Around the World in 80 Days ends. They get back. They think they're too late. And Euda, who has fallen in love with Phileas Fogg because he's the main character of the book, is like, I don't care that you just lost all your money. I love you. I'll marry you anyway. And he's like, great. And then Passepartout, who, again, in this game, we're just calling Passport, comes in and is like, wait, we traveled to the east. That means we crossed the date line and we're actually 1 day early. And then they celebrate the book ends. But
Okay.
that's because the original book happens in 1889. C. Andrew R. Sonic ran the whole way back to 1883 before time zones were invented. And so, to hold up his bargain to his new friend, Phileas Tails miles per hour Fogg, Sonic is going to have to run so hard that he fights the personification of time itself to split it into 24 equal parts and create time zones, thus setting into motion that they were actually a day early. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but like at the end of a Sonic game, if you had to fight a big glowy man they said was time, you'd be like, okay, I'm in.
I quite literally referenced earlier how Sonic and Shadow fight the ultimate life form in space. So
there you go.
I mean, yeah, and you literally fight a Time Lord at the end of Sonic Generations, so that tracks.
There you have it. That's how we're wrapping it up. It'll be really, really cool because it's going to start with like Sonic being like, oh no, I think I know what to do. I went back in time before, and that means I can probably control time itself. And then it'll just like take off in a dead sprint, and we'll see Sonic run backwards past all the things you did in the game. And you'll see like a montage, because it's a Sonic game, of other people that you've seen. And then it'll be like, and there'll be this big anime explosion, and a big glowy man will come out and be like, I am time. And, Sonic will beat him up.
We blew all the voiceover budget on Sonic and not Time Man.
Wow.
Any questions? I hear no questions.
No.
I have too many questions.
You know,
and I don't know
no.
where to begin.
We've spent too much time asking for questions. I've got a thought. I got a thought, and you've got to hear it. I think it sucks that you're able to justify the silliness of your answer based upon source material of Sonic that is also very silly. That makes me so mad. That it's not that what you said makes sense. It's that things that came before it make such little sense that the Overton window has moved. That there's the goalposts have shifted so much. You're like, and it's a Time Lord. He's like, meh, time, and we're like, no, that fits actually.
that all tracks.
Yeah,
It is dramatically unfair that the only representation of whale life in Sonic games are extremely real looking, very real world looking orca whales. Yes.
I mean, it was the launching pad that got me to where I am.
That's true.
However,
also
that
fair.
reveal isn't as fun as Time Lord fights time.
Yeah. Who says I am time?
Nah,
It's me. Time.
Well, guys,
And he's gonna say, wait, one more. He's gonna say something like, get your time has come, or it's time to die. There's something in there somewhere. You got it.
It'll be the time is now.
Yeah, there it
Because
is.
he'll be there. And it'll be everybody will be like, is that a translation thing? And they'll be like, nope.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, hey, great news. So after pumping and dumping all that houseboat grouse note a couple months ago, we got enough extra cash to shell out to get none other than Sonic composer Jun Sonoe's Crush 40 on retainer. You know Crush 40? The band that did all of the Sonic songs. And no Sonic game would be complete without a fist-pumping butt rock anthem. So, in the style of Live and Learn and Open Your Heart, what's going to headline your game's soundtrack? And we will answer that question right after this break.
Oh, I'm so excited to have an ad to run again instead of having to find old video game music and hope we don't get DCMA struck.
It's fine.
I'm going to use that as the start of the ad.
Do we know what we're saying? Are we just gonna wing it?
I think we're just going to wing it.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Hey, you're listening to this. Do you like video games and maybe karaoke?
What
Jesus
a
Christ.
threatening question.
Hey, you, the listener. Do you like video games and karaoke?
Well, I can promise you that you'll get one of those two things at the Midwest Gaming Classic that's happening between April 5th through April 7th at the Baird Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we are going to get a table. We're going to hand out free merch. Most importantly, we're going to do a live show.
We are doing our live show on the bonus stage Saturday night at 7 p.m. That's Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, if you needed to know what time.
Not that it
Milwaukee
also would
was
matter
in.
because it's not getting broadcast.
We're not
anywhere
live
else.
streaming it, but
Yeah.
it'll be on the main feed after we're done.
Yeah.
Eventually.
We did this last year. Todd and I yelled about Donkey Kong and Sonic, and it was a really fun time.
We had a PowerPoint slideshow.
We did have a PowerPoint slideshow. It was unhinged.
Everyone clapped.
Todd, is there going to be a PowerPoint slideshow again
Of
this
fucking
year?
course
There
there's
will
going to
be
be
a
a PowerPoint
slideshow
slideshow.
again.
Wow.
There
Yeah.
has to be. The people, listen, the people
the
have been
people have
asking.
demanded
You,
it.
the people.
Yeah, you the people have been demanding it.
The time we weren't on stage, we spent at the table getting people mad by asking questions like, is a DVD player a video game console?
Yeah, it's pretty cursed.
I think we're going to do that again.
All four of us are going to be there this time.
Yay!
See all of us in person.
Yeah.
And our topic is
Insert topic here.
Good.
7 p.m. on the bonus stage, Saturday, April 7th? 6th. April 6th. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Midwest Gaming Classic.
See you there.
Could be fun.
Could be fun.
Could be fun.
And we're back. Once more, that super secret bonus question is, tell me what that fist-pumping, hard-hitting, butt rock anthem is going to be that's going to end out your Sonic game soundtrack in the style of Crush 40. And we'll start at the top with Todd.
Yeah, Crush 40 has put together a wonderful original composition for Moby Sonic Dick.
Nope.
Called it is a song called "Friendship as Deep as the Ocean," and it will. I can't do the whole song for you because it's not ready to release, and this game's not out yet. But it will feature lines. I've got 3 here to read. One line will be, "A story in motion. You're surfing the ocean," and that's all electric guitar in the background. There will be another line that says, "Your hope stays afloat while you pilot your boat," which again, hard rock in the background. And of course, the last line before the like outro guitar riff is, When life gets hard, whale will you turn? And
No.
there's a brief break and it goes, live and learn, and then it goes back into the guitar. So yeah, I think I started that answer as a joke, and I think it might be a real Crush 40 song. This is not that far off anymore.
Live and Learn is a real Crush 40
No,
song.
I know, but I'm saying like the song thing that I put here.
Whale Where
Will
You Go.
Turn?
Whale
Yeah.
Will You Turn. I don't know that anyone in the history of the world has ever said that, so I think you're good.
All right, well, I'm going to copyright this song then
Perfect. Kyle.
and ask Crush 40 on Fiverr to write it for me.
Yeah. Andrew, I also did get to meet briefly with Crush 40 and ask them to. We got a Crush 40 song for Sonic Holmes, The Adventures of Sonic Holmes as well, and this one is called "The Sound of Baskerville."
Okay.
I don't have any lines like Todd, but I can confirm it does open with a sick ass bass riff and just rules. It just is a rockin' song that will play when you are rolling around trying to find clues. You'll hear that boom boom doom 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 doom.
When you're rolling around at the speed of sound.
I wasn't gonna say it, Todd, but
Well,
more or less. Yeah, so the Sound of Baskerville is our
Good.
our Crush 40 song
Good.
for this.
I don't know that people are going to appreciate how good a joke the sound of
That is a good
Baskerville is,
joke.
but it's a really good joke, Kyle.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome.
Matt.
Yeah, Andrew, this is an easy one. See, we need to remind people that Knuckles is a really cool guy. That was kind of the like apex of the Sonic Boom series, was that like, oh guys, Knuckles, really awesome. And so
Knuckles is cool and he's shaped like a molar, but he's cool.
and he's shaped like a molar. Yeah. And I think in that show he's also a little dumb, but he's really cool. And the whole thing is like, we're going to do a music video in the animation style of the game to this Crush 40 song with Knuckles as Passport as the singer. And it's going to be Crush 40's new track, Passport to Freedom, because it's all about Passport going on his journey
Sure.
around the world with Phileas Fogg, who is Miles Tails Prower.
Wait.
And
Wait.
what?
In question one, we were like, oh, it's not pronounced passport, but we're saying it passport. Was that all just a long play to get to this answer?
No.
Sure. Classic.
Have any of you ever had a pet that ate something they weren't supposed to and they just look at you when you ask them if they ate it? That's
was
what
that look.
Matt just gave us all that look.
Yeah. Matt knows where the poop is hiding. Wow. Yeah, those were certainly some answers. Let's hear some quick closing statements.
Yeah, let's be real. I put this together as a big joke, but I think I have created something that might have legs. At least one leg. The other one is a peg leg. But pause for applause. Pause for applause. Actually,
please clap.
I was going to save it for the post show, but Captain Ahab in the source material, he doesn't have a peg leg. He has a peg made out of a whale's jaw.
Ooh.
Oh.
That is still a peg, though. Like, it's still a peg
I
leg.
guess it's a whale's
it's not a
jaw.
wooden leg.
It's not a wooden leg. It's
Not a wooden leg.
Yeah.
When you think of a peg leg, you think of typically like a wooden pirate's leg.
Yeah.
Anyway, Captain Ahabman would have a long, spindly leg made out of a cat's whisker in my game. I just want to make that known. But what I do want to say is that I think this game could work in the same way that a Lego game of an IP works. That it's silly enough to make it work.
Mhm.
However, I do want to be really clear. We're going to have to sort out how quite literally every single supporting cast member that isn't Son Ishmael dies a horrible, horrible death. Like literally at one point since they fight Moby Dick for 3 days, someone gets stuck on a harpoon, like harpooned to the whale.
Oh,
and so
no.
day 2, the whale comes back and the lifeless body is still being drug alongside of the whale. So, we'll have to figure out how to like church that up a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from just figuring out how every loved Sonic character gets dismembered by a cat whale, we're golden. This is ready to print, put on the shelves.
Dope. Kyle.
Yeah, guys, Sherlock Holmes is just one of the most adaptable stories or characters of all time, whether we're doing Benedict Cumberbatch in a weird Stephen Moffat adaptation or we're doing the pill-popping Dr. House. It's always beloved. and that goes the same for putting Sonic in the titular role as well. It's guaranteed moneymaker, can't go wrong. Sonic Holmes.
Perfect.
Yeah, Andrew, this is an easy one. First off, it's pretty funny, this concept of around the world in 80 days. I mean, this is a Sonic game, right? It's all about going fast. So anytime you put any sort of measurement to how long Sonic has to do something, it's kind of ironic and a little bit fun for folks. So that's pretty cool to begin with. Also, around the world in 80 days just sets us up for like a whole bunch of levels. We get to go all over the world. We get to include a whole bunch of stuff. Every character is there, literally everybody you can imagine. It's only a little racist. It'll be lots of fun, great time. Sonic and the Around the World in 80 Days. I'm dropping the silly title at the beginning because the joke didn't land, and that's okay. That's called adaptations, and we do those.
Great. Cool. So I've got some decisions to make. I've got some suits to discuss with. Do some good vibes and hang out in this lobby until I come back.
Kyle, I love the thought that Sherlock Holmes, a calculated, thinking, measured, slightly neurotic character, being replaced by character who run fast is just really, really good for me. The fact that he's dropped into this world of solving, like, oh, there's a serial killer murdering everyone, and he's like, I'll find him, and he like he just like takes off running down cobblestone. That's great for me. I love that.
2 points. One, canonically, Sherlock Holmes does cocaine, so I feel like it's not terribly far off.
All right.
2, I couldn't find a good spot to fit it in, but I want everyone to imagine that instead of Sherlock Holmes' standard pipe, Sonic Holmes holds a chili dog like a pipe the whole every time he's like in a cutscene.
No, that feels right.
Chili dog.
That's good.
I like that. Matt, your closing statement kind of summarized what I was going to say of like, there's just a really cool line to follow of like, man, what's one of the classics about going fast? Oh, the thing about going around the world in 80 days feels pretty apt. You know, I think the thing I like most about yours is it sets itself up for a lot of fun cutscenes to give us the iconic Sonic music. Give us the, what is it? The circus nights, carnival nights, the carnival night zone. Give me that music. I want to see that.
Oh shit, that's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of bangers. The toxic chemical plant, you know, suddenly their hot air balloon finds themselves in a toxic chemical plant. We got to hear the music. So, yeah, I like that. And I also don't know shit about your story. I can at least fake my way through Kyle's. Yours, I'm like, they're in a balloon, I think.
Yeah. That happens, yeah.
How do hot air balloons work that you get to navigate yourself forward in 80 days? How does that work? It can't.
Well, that's the whole thing. The story was written before planes were really a thing. So, like, getting around the world in 80 days was a challenge when
but
the
just
book was
like
written.
Just like wind feels like it's against you.
Yeah. Well, if Tears of the Kingdom taught me anything, it's the fire. You got to blow the fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
go into balloon.
This is less about your story at this point. Now the physics behind air balloons. So I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
I don't speak for those. I have nothing to say about that.
Matt does not speak for air balloons.
Let me be clear here.
What do you think I am, the Balorax?
All right, I couldn't get there, and I wanted to, and so I'm glad you did.
That joke is really funny, but it's really stupid. It's not right on so many levels. The Lorax isn't called the Trorax.
Yeah, but you got it. And like, there's got to be a comedy. There's got to be a comedy term for like skipping 3 steps to get to the thing everyone's trying to get to.
Yeah.
It's the Kevin from The Office, like, use less words, say things fast. Like, yeah, we know what you're saying, but come on.
Come on, man. All right, good vibes. Todd, I don't know why, but I do really like Call Me Sonish Meow. I shouldn't. There's no reason to like that. Should. But I really do, and I really love the reveal that Big the Cat is the whale. I do like. I imagine like Big the Cat leisurely like kicking,
just doggy paddling around.
No, on his back, like kicking and like shoots water out of his mouth for the very first like "Thar she blows" like that instead of a blowhole. It's like it's that. It's good. You also managed to put Sonic on a boat where like I feel like his super speed is completely negated.
Yeah, it kind of screwed the whole thing right there.
But we can ignore that. And Matt, yeah, like we've all said, like around the world in 80 days, super speeder, boom, game. Like fill in the blanks the rest of the way, Mad Libs the rest of your way through it, boom, you got a game. I do also like the idea of Sonic being very frustrated that they have to travel by balloon at one point, like the slowest method of air travel possible. That pleases me.
Yeah, I think that Todd said something earlier that really sums up Sonic well, which like Sonic's ability to problem solve hinges on whether or not that problem can be solved by going fast.
Yeah.
And when I went to answer this prompt, part of the way I got to Around the World in 80 Days was thinking like, well, that's a problem that can be solved by going fast. Wouldn't it be funny if going fast couldn't solve the problem? And I like that you guys went at it the opposite way, which is like, what if I have a problem that going fast can't solve, but I bring the one guy who can go fast enough to solve it anyway?
Right.
And I really like that. Sonic solving mysteries as Sherlock Holmes because he went fast is very funny. Moriarty as Shadow, the perfect foil to Sherlock Holmes as Sonic, is like chef's kiss, man. Just absolutely excellent. Todd, all I know about Moby Dick is that it's really long, really detailed, and really hard to read, and that it's got a big white whale in it. And I
whale.
almost...
It's a metaphor for obsession and
Until 30 seconds ago, I thought Moby Dick was the old man in the sea.
that's different.
No,
That's
it's different.
not
No,
it.
it's definitely the obsession bit is definitely right, because the whole thing
Yeah.
is like you meet Captain Ahab and he's like, I'm gonna murder this whale and all of you are gonna die helping me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that that's really fun because, again, like, hunting whale can't be solved by going fast, but god damn it, if you go fast enough, maybe you can hunt the whale, and I think that that's really fun. I just really love that as a concept,
I
man.
want to cite that logic at some point on this podcast again of like, oh, I can't use super speed to solve this problem, but if I run fast enough, maybe I'll solve this problem.
I mean, it's like, that's the whole thing of the Flash is like his only ability to solve a problem is to go fast. And I think Sonic works under that same logic, but with way less hoops to jump through, you know, because the Flash and other speedsters all have to follow some sort of like bullshit law that's in their universe. But the Sonic fandom is so blown out that it's like, no, he just runs faster. Doesn't matter. He can solve the problem. He just runs faster. And I like that.
Well, I've thought a lot about this, and look, in this particular episode's canon, we took a gamble on at the time thought to be an unhinged move, which was putting all of that money in a houseboat grouse note. And I feel like in the spirit of how in the canon of this episode we got all that money, I don't want to make a safe bet here. So I'm going to give it to Todd, and here's why.
Wow.
Listen, real quick. That sentence could have ended with anyone who probably wasn't Matt, just because of like, until you said my name, I was like, it's Kyle or me, probably.
Yeah. No, here's why. Look, all three of these answers were honestly really, really good and really, really funny. I very much enjoyed all three of them for very different reasons. I think Todd's is, to me, like, I'm giving it to Todd for being the most unhinged because Todd brought something, and Matt pointed, I think, or maybe Kyle pointed out, I love the idea of a Sonic game where he is trapped in a boat the whole time.
Feels right.
And cannot move.
For a 3-day final battle.
It's just Sonic watching people slowly drive themselves insane. And that, to me, is very funny. Sonic watching the hubris of man in real time.
That's actually the title of my game.
Yeah. That's the pitch. That, to me, is like, that's too funny. I can't shy away from it. So, Todd, congratulations. You are a winner today.
In a way, we all won and lost.
That's usually how these Sonic episodes go.
Yeah.
The duality of man.
The duality of hedgehog.
Man. Well,
the duality of hedgehog.
Oh, Matt!
There's our title. Thanks for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on social media or on our website at debatethiscast.com. Hey, do you like watching live recording of podcasts? Are you within a reasonable driving distance from Milwaukee, Wisconsin? If you answered yes to both of those questions, then here is one more plug to come see us at the Midwest Gaming Classic on Saturday, April 7th. We're going to be doing a live episode on the bonus stage, which is in the main area at 7 p.m. that Saturday. But come hang out for the weekend. There's going to be a ton of other guests. There's vendors, there's shows, there's workshops, a bunch of stuff. I think there's like a cosplay contest, like a ton of arcade games, bunch of things to do for the whole weekend. Until next time, I am Andrew Henderson.
I'm Todd, sucking on a chili dog, solving crimes. This blue hedgehog lives in London sometimes. Thomas.